G'day fellas, and welcome to a Beyond All Reason build order guide. This one is going to be a little bit interesting. You will remember our nuke rush strategy that we did on Supreme Straight. It doesn't quite work, the rush that we're going to be doing here on Supreme Straight, so instead we're on all the glitters. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We are rushing a Calamity, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it. So let's start off with, of course, how we always start. So we're starting off with 3 mexes here, going into 2 solar collectors. We're going into a bot lab, and then we'll follow it up with 3 solar collectors. Now, the great thing about this build order is it doesn't matter about the wind. If you have good wind, who cares? If you have bad wind, who cares? Because we stay 100% on solar until we're on fusion. And I love that about this build order, because technically, it's a little bit slower than what you could do with wind. However, it's only by a very small margin. So, you know, even if the best case scenario for wind comes up, you're maybe 5 seconds behind. If the worst case scenario for wind happens, you're like a minute, 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes ahead. Wind is so important when you're doing those build orders with the arm in particular on the back line to maintain or to have that really high wind. And if you do get a bad wind game, well, things are just going to be absolutely terrible for you. So we go with this, and this has kind of been my go-to lately. I've been really enjoying playing the core. I've been enjoying going for this build. I did play the arm recently, and I played him on the backline, and I had problems with my wind, and I was like, well, this is not enjoyable. So anyway, let's start off. So we're going to start off with a Lazarus or a Grave Robber, and after the 3rd solar, we're going to turn around and we're going to pump that bad boy out. He's going to come in and collect rocks, and we just want to collect every single rock that we can. That's basically it. We want to try our best. So there's a whole bunch of rocks out here, and I'll zoom out as far as I can so you can see. So we come around here, and we just go here, 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 and we just kind of dash all around, and then we always make sure we bring back our Grave Robber towards our base. Now, we're very careful with how we're juggling. So after our 4th solar collector, we boost out our construction bot, but we want to make sure that we don't boost the construction bot if we don't have energy. It's always about just managing that resource. So now, with the 1st construction bot, we're going to come out and we're going to make 1 and then a 2nd mex with the 2nd construction bot. So we're only making 2 construction bot here. We're not making 3. And you can even see Dolphy is Lobster saying, why go solar when wind OP? He don't know. He don't know that it's actually solar that's OP. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off an advanced solar collector with our 2nd bot, but then we're going to go and make a mex with our bot, and he's going to come back and then going to make make our nano here. Now you can see that we don't actually need to reclaim this bot lab at the moment because we don't actually have any problems with metal. We only want to do that if we've got a problem with metal. So you can see that we've got it all shift queued in here. So the commander will eventually do this. Now you can. I would recommend you should follow this build order exactly the way that I'm doing it, ideally in this position as well. You can do it from other positions, but this one is by far the best position for eco. So now that we've got a little bit of downtime before the nano comes up, we're also going to throw down our energy converter here, and you can see the way that I place this. This is very specific. I want to give a shout out to LSR. If you don't know who he is Mr. Steamroller, the Steamroller himself. He actually put a little comment on one of my videos. He's like, hey, Drongo, if you really want to speed run, what you should be doing is put these bad boys right next to the solar collectors, detonate them before you want to suck them up, and then that way you don't have to reclaim as much. You just have to reclaim a little bit. So I've started doing that, and it's worked an absolute treat. Definitely shaves off a couple of seconds here and there. So huge shout out to him for that. So everyone's just helping out. So we've made the nano, and now we're going to go up to 4 advanced solar collectors. Do not make more than 4 advanced solar collectors at this point. I've seen some people doing a similar build order where they go up to 5. The problem that you're going to have is that you are going to be capped on the metal income that you can make up until a specific time. If you think about it right now, okay, like right now at this point in the game, if we take a look at the statistics, you can see that we've got 3k metal, okay, 3k metal. So what you do with that 3k metal, it's up to you how you allocate that, but we need to find metal for our advanced bot lab. And the only way that we can find that is if we reclaim these solars here, if we detonate our commander, and if we don't build that 5th advanced solar. The alternative is that you wait a little bit longer, but if there's anything that I can tell you about me, it's I've got a need for speed. Anyway, commander, he's going to go boom boom at the top here. You can see that we've got nothing in the bank at the moment. We're going to make sure that, as you can see, we are going to eat our solar collectors here. Once we hit that zero metal, very important that we don't have overbuilding, or we're not overbuilding on on the construction there, because it doesn't add anything to it, right? If you've got 0 metal and you've got a million constructors on it, it doesn't make it go faster. So that's essentially it. So we suck the command up, and then we're going to come back down here, and we're going to straight away eat these solar collectors, and we're just going to make sure that we eat the solar collectors when we need the metal. That's the key, because you can see this in energy converters online, right? Like if we had eaten all of these solar collectors, it wouldn't be, because it takes 70 metal or 70 energy into 1 metal. So we only eat them when we need them. But now our bot lab is coming up. You can hear all the other commanders going down, and we're at 5 minutes, so pretty decent timing. This could have been faster. We weren't the best with our metal, and we're going to make a metal storage, and we're going to start reclaiming the advanced bot lab. And then after that, well, I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to it, but we're going to make some more advanced solars. But the main focus here is we've got to be really careful. We don't want to reclaim our bot lab before our advanced construction bot is done. This is really key. So you can see we've kind of got the timings down pretty well here. 15 seconds on the the metal storage. Well, it's about to be what, 11 seconds, 10 seconds, and then 8 seconds, 6 seconds. So it's very, very close here between these two finishing. And then once that happens, then you can fully just rip the advanced bot lab up. But you kind of build up this little bit of metal here. So I'm just like, you know what? I've got this metal. I'm not in a rush to get rid of this advanced bot lab, because I've got 200 metal sitting there, and it takes how much metal? 370 for an advanced solar. So let's just get everybody on that, and let's just use the grave robber build power in here. So the reason why we want to go up to 6 solars now is because we're about to have a huge boost of metal. So this is really key. Now, you would have seen another build order that I did do on the channel that may look similar to this. This is a much more refined build order, and a huge shout out goes to, I'm just going to open my Discord up over on my other computer right now and have a look at the lab, have a look at the thread. Actually, I can't say his name. I could say his name, but I'm not going to say his name. But he knows who he is. I'm just going to call him Dad. Thanks, Dad, for helping out here. The reason I can't is because it's not a family friendly name. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, we went for our six advanced solar collectors. Actually, was it Dad who helped out with this? No, I take it back. It wasn't Dad who helped out with this. Let me pull this one up. Sorry, I probably should have prepared this earlier right now. I'm looking for it. You know what? I can't find it. I don't have it here, so apologies in advance. But you know who you are. It's not Dad. I'll say that much. Dad, you didn't do anything with this build order. But I did have some interesting discussions with Dad about the commander. But that's for another video. So anyway, the first metal extractor is down, and the key here is that we've got these 6 advanced solar collectors, because if we went for less than this, we would actually start to idle out while we're making these solar collectors. So it's really important that we get these solar collectors down first, then we get the nano up, and then we can go into the metal extractors. That's the big key here, because if we start to idle, we're going to slow down. And we can always suck these bad boys back up, right? That's the big thing. You've always got to maintain versatility on the backline, whether that's versatility in your strategy. You know, maybe you don't want to go all the way for an APHIS. Maybe you just want to stop right here and then just, you know, throw down the tier 2 lab again and then go into tier 2. That's an option for you. Maybe you want to go tier 3. You know, up to you how you want to play it. But we want to be versatile, and we're making sure that we always reclaim things that we don't need. And so we will make sure that we reclaim these. So we're throwing down the 3rd nano at the moment. And this nano, we can see that, I probably should mention it. We're going to pause the video right now, because these nanos are actually very specifically put down. You might just think I'm throwing them down in random locations. I am not. So the way that I measure this nano is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a nano, okay? And then I'm going to look, and I want to line it up with the top of the map. So you can see that it goes all the way. The little green circle comes up to this position here. So I want to do that. I don't want to go any more than that, okay? I just want to go for that, because then that guarantees that anything that's built along that edge of the map, I'm going to be able to cover. So that's the first thing. So that's the first way I line it up. And then the second way I line it up is based on whether it's going to be able to assist the metal extractors that I've got. So you can see I've got my 3 main metal extractors here. So 1, 2, 3. And then I've got a 4th metal extractor, and I want to try and assist that. And this is why this is the best spot to be in. So if you have a look at other spots, as an example, this one here, right, I can't assist. I can throw a nano down maybe here, but then I can't get this metal extractor. It's right outside of the radius. And by the same token, down here, we can try and get that metal extractor in on the bottom side, but now it misses this top one. This is why this position is the best, because you can actually get 5 advanced metal extractors in with your starting nanos. Now, on the other side, unfortunately, if we take a look here, it doesn't mirror. So that right there, let's have a look and see. Okay, so that one, I think Oh, actually doesn't mirror. If I remember correctly, it didn't mirror when I was doing the math on it before. So that nano hits. Okay, so that one over there doesn't. So there you go. You can see it's close, but it's a little bit out. So this spawn is like by far the best spawn if ever you're going to play Eco, in my opinion. So essentially the measurements for it were just, can I include my first 3? Yes. Can I include my 4th one? Yes, I can. Perfect. And then these 2 over here are the same thing, but therefore the left side. So that's essentially it. So we've added in a 3rd nano here, just simply because this first nano can't reach over towards this. So we build that 3rd nano in the downtime, and as you can see, there's a bit more downtime right here while our advanced construction bot is walking over. This nano is not doing anything because this nano is completed. So we're going to add in a 4th nano now. It's a build order. We'll say that much. I feel like I'm giving you guys absolutely everything that you need to know, or at least hopefully that you need to know. So now we're going to throw that one down, and Now it's time for our APHIS. Now, there is a world where you could look for a 6th advanced metal extractor, but the reality is it's not efficient in that it's way too far to walk away or walk down here and then walk back up. It is possible, you can do it, but you will delay your APHIS timing by about, I would estimate about 40 and 50 seconds. And if you think about that, 40 to 50 seconds, that means 40 to 50 seconds delay on your metal. And if you've got 5 advanced energy converters, that's 50 metal that you're delaying for 40 to 50 seconds. So you really need to do the math right there and add it up. And I'm of the opinion it's just not worth doing it. So during this time, we've got to be very careful with how we add our nanos in. We don't want to be rushing them in because you'll see that whenever you rush a nano in, these guys are quite expensive on energy, just because they can build very, very quickly, but they cost a lot of energy. So we have to be really careful. You always want to try and reset your energy levels and then add the nanos in. Another thing to note is that you want to be careful about how many nanos you help out or have helping out. So you can see all of these guys turning around, and we just managed to get it up. So that's perfect. An ally sends me this, but it's by mistake. I was bringing him over. I was like, I actually thought to myself, oh, okay, if you're just going to give me a T2 bot, I'm just going to eat it. I'm just going to take the medal. It's like, but it was actually for somebody else, so I give it back. You can see the lobby that I'm playing with is relatively decent people here as well. So I don't want to scam them, so to speak. But we've thrown down a couple of solar collectors as well. This comes in right before we move into the APHIS, and the reason why is just to give us a little bit more energy, just to help out with our nanos, because it's very, very important that with our nanos that we are able to keep 100% uptime on them. So now there's a little bit of maths that we need to do here. So we've got 1800 metal. Well, we'll call it 1700 now. And you can see that I'm at this rate, well, we're throwing down a nano. And this is part of like the maths that I'm talking about. So if I look at my maths here, or at my numbers, I'm using 36 metal every second. Okay, technically it's 75, but I've got 30. I'm making 39 to 40, so we'll call it 35. So I know that over 10 seconds, that's going to use 350 metal. So in my head, I can subsequently calculate that out based on how long I've got. So if I've got a minute left on this, that means I need 6 times 350, which means that we're looking at a total of 2100 metal. And I don't have that. So I need to find that. So I'm going to start by pulling it out of my solar collectors. And then if I don't have it then, which I won't because I want to get a really good timing in, I'm going to have to detonate my energy converters, and I'm going to have to suck those up. But for some reason this game, I don't know why, one of my allies sends me a whole bunch of metal as well. So I got a random constructor. I got a random bunch of metal. I think it was like 480 metal as well. So I think he thought that he'd sent it to somebody different. You can see, yeah, 575. So I think he thought he was getting a T2 or something like that. But we don't say anything. We're just like, oh, sorry, Lord James. Oh, you know what? It was the guy that made my T2 or made the T2. He sent the metal to me. Thanks, man. I didn't even realize that. So anyway, the APHIS timing is coming up. Now, it wouldn't have made a difference, and the reason why is because we would have been able to detonate these and come in a little bit earlier. And you can see how close they are when we do detonate them. They come down to 6% and 8% health, and the APHIS comes up 11:43. Pretty decent timing, and straight into our advanced energy converters right there. Compare that over to the enemy backline, and you can see that they've done a similar strategy. This is starting to really take off the core APHIS, but once again, quite a delay before they get up. So it looks like they're probably running about 40, maybe 45 seconds behind where we are. And you take a look where we're at in 45 seconds, and it's starting to get a little bit better. So behind this is where we start adding in nanos. So with regard to like the general rules on nano, the best way, and I know it sucks, it's to just do the maths. It's to calculate exactly how many you're going to need, because some games you'll need like 9 nanos, 10 nanos, 11 nanos, it depends. Here we throw down a SAM just because I saw that the enemy threw out some scouts. And so normally the scouts at around this timing, about 12 minutes, normally mean a bombing run is imminent. So I'm just like, I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to throw this down. Depends on what I see, but there's a good chance I can throw down a Cobra as well, or a bird shot, just to try and help defend. The main thing is I just don't want to lose my constructors or my nanos. I don't mind losing my energy converters. They're easy to replace, even though they do make a big boom. They're on the other side, so it's not a big deal. So in this position, we're going up to 5 advanced energy converters. Sometimes you can go up to more than that. But before we throw down our second APHIS, I'm going to be throwing down an anti-nuke. And the reason why we do this is because, well, over on the other side of the map, we've got an enemy who is going to be throwing down a nuclear launcher right there. Now, we fortunately had that already prepared. We knew what was coming. But when it's interesting because you have the little voiceovers, and the voiceover says, nuclear launcher or nuclear missile launcher detected, but it doesn't tell you, or like you don't know how long or how far along it is. You just hear that sound and you're like, oh god, like it's happening. And I heard that sound and I'm like, okay, well, I've got my prevailers up, and then you can see me ping like, oh no, because all I heard was, oh gosh. And I'm looking at the time, I'm like 13 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's about as fast as the fastest nuke rush comes. If this guy's on time, I'm gonna be dead. Because, you know, for me, this is the key eco spot. If I'm ever nuking a person on this map, this is the spot I'm nuking. I'm not nuking this corner. I don't care about this corner. Like, take a look here. Like, Dolphy is Lobster. Now, I don't think this is actually Dolphy. I think this is a different guy. For anybody who doesn't know, Dolphy is a big Twitch streamer for Beyond All Reason. Yeah, he's a bit of a lobster, I guess you could say. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's all right. I think lobster's like this meme within the Beyond All Reason community. I don't quite understand it yet, but... Anyway, we move on, we move forward. So let's get back to the build order. It's pretty simple from here, right? So we're up to a total of 20 nanos. That same rule that we've been going for, and that's 10 per APHIS is what we do. And one of the things that you can do is you can start reclaiming if you get to the end of your metal. So you can see here, I've run out of metal, so I'm going to start reclaiming, and then that metal is going to instead go into my APHIS. And that's going to buy me a little bit of time, right? You can see 13 seconds here, 12 seconds here. I'm spending 40 metal a second. So if it's only going to take 10 seconds to finish, then I've got 400 metal in the bank, then I'll have enough. So it works out almost perfectly. You can see I'm a tiny little bit short here, but I'm still pretty happy with this. So you can see we do throw down the birdshot as well, just because we're a little bit fearful about that threat of an enemy. So I said, you know what, we'll just throw it down in the front like that. It's got a really decent radius on it as well. And this thing will absolutely mess you up. If you try and attack into one of these, it's not even close. So we might speed it up a little bit here. I mean, we could speed it up here, or we could talk about what's happening in the middle of the map. I mean, realistically, when you're playing on the back line, you're expected to help out if help is needed. And what we have in the middle of the map right now is a good old-fashioned stalemate. You've got Yallow, who is stalling out over on this rock side. We've got our brown player right here, who's also stalling out, even though I feel like just a gentle breeze could knock him out right now. Look at this. You got T2 on the front line. You got a couple of light laser turrets up here. There's literally nothing. Like maybe a couple of pounders, that's it. But there's nothing in here, which is very, very scary. And then we've got our red player, who has got a pretty decent defense setup. We've got the Pitbull, we've got the Rattlesnake, so not a lot going to be getting through that. And of course, not to mention the Welders on the front. And then finally, we got Lord James over here, who's got a pretty nice setup over here, which, by the way, can I just compliment him on this Twilight? A lot of people wouldn't look to go for a Twilight here, but the fact that this is in a choke point as well is just absolutely chef's kiss. It is so nice, because if anything tries to come through here, you just control D, or you explode the Twilight, and it is going to cause massive EMP stunning. And we will see that later. Hopefully, if I remember, we will see that later. But now, meanwhile, behind this, I mean, I know that we're mainly focusing on the build order. This isn't really about entertainment. I mean, even though it is entertainment, you can see I actually ping this, and I'm like, yo, because I'm looking at that, I'm like, what is it? Like, what is that? Look at that on the map, and you're like, this is not good. Like, we got to be careful of this. And I think he starts moving it almost immediately after I ping it. Yeah, you can see right there. So we'll watch right now. We'll cut to a little bit of entertainment for you, ladies and gentlemen, as the attack begins to come in right now. Fonzie, big Fonzie, going to be coming in 3, 2, 1, say good day. Actually, he doesn't even control D. He realizes at the last second, and look at that EMP. How many fleas or how many ticks just got EMP'd? You can even see one of the spectators right there saying, big EMP. Oof. Indeed, big EMP. And those flamethrower turrets. Actually, it's not even... Yeah, it's the flamethrower turrets, but it's also the fiends in there as well, just shutting that attack down completely in the blink of an eye. And it's like, isn't that just insane how much control that can allow you? So really nice use of the Twilight there. So up towards the north, one of my allies has asked me, are you getting a Calamity? And I just say maybe. Because you got to remember that it's very much about being versatile. You know, sometimes... Like, for me... And this is probably something that I should have talked about earlier in the video, but I'll leave it till right now. Why do we go for a Calamity? Well, think about it, right? Like, the object of winning the game, or the object of the game is to win the game, right? In any game. We want to try and win. Now, we can win in a number of different ways. We can win through Juggernaut spam. We can win through air superiority into bombing runs. We can win through a Calamity. We can win through nukes. All of these different options. So how do we go about securing that victory in the most efficient manner, in the fastest manner, in the safest manner as well? Because right now I could go into Juggernaut spam. I probably don't have the resources to do it yet, but that's something that could be done, is Juggernaut spam. Or I could go into air right now. But if I go into air, what happens if the enemy just puts down a whole bunch of static defense? If I go into Juggernauts, what happens if I'm moving my Juggernaut across the map and they've got a whole bunch of sharpshooters and a whole bunch of hounds, and they manage to kite it, and the Juggernaut dies, and I have to end up, I end up destroying or self-destructing the Juggernaut before it reaches its target. These are first world backline problems that we face. And it's key to consider these before we make our decision. So for me, the clear decision is the Calamity, because I can finish a game at 25 minutes. And that's exactly what we're going to do this game. I don't mean to spoil it for you, but we will finish the game before the 30-minute mark, just through the Calamity. A stalemate has broken out, and you can see right now that the scouts are coming through. A whole bunch of scouts on the way. Bing, bing, bang is looking for a nuke right now. And the question's going to be, where does the nuke go down? So what he's done is he's scouted the anti-nukes. That's the key thing, right? So he spots all the anti-nukes out, and that kind of tells him where he can nuke safely. So you can see the call-out's been made. That's where the nuke is going. So we do expect to see a nuclear launch detected. Nuclear launch detected. Where is it? Has it already come in? What was that? I feel like that was something right there. I don't think it was a nuke. Even though, no, it was a commander going down. It's basically the same thing. So anyway, that's my argument. There's the nuke coming through now. Nice big boy. Look at that. Look at that. That is a thick boy right there. I can't remember if he's armor or core, but I tell you what, that is something of beauty. And immediately, take a look at how good my teammates are. The nuke comes down, and straight away they cover. Look at this. Immediately looking to cover. They know that the attack is going to be imminent. Fortunately, the Dragon's Teeth do remain up on the front. Doesn't look like there's going to be anything to crush them, and you can see them coming forward here. And we're going to have to work them down the good old-fashioned way. But back towards the base, we're still working on that. We're still working on our APHIS, and so we've added in a second line here. This is really key, because one of the things that's going to happen, and I guess we got to talk more about our backline guide, is that one of the things that will happen as you make more and more advanced energy converters, your metal is going to stack up more quickly, and you're not going to be able to spend that with the amount of construction turrets that you've got. So you need to really go ham. And even with this amount of construction turrets, I often find myself floating quite a lot of metal. So always making sure. Now, the key that we're going up to here is 8. I want to get to 8 APHIS, because at 8 APHIS, I'm going to have enough energy to power my Calamity, but I'm also going to have enough energy to continue building APHIS at home. And that's really important, because we don't want to just make a Calamity and then just sit there, spamming shots, right? Because we essentially become useless at that point. And we've got such a great economy that we want to try and take advantage of that as well. So technically, you could probably do this at about 6 or 7 APHIS, probably even less. I think you could probably even go at like 5 APHIS. If you wanted to go for a world record, you probably could do it there. Though you might have trouble with metal. But the problem is that your follow-up to that is going to be non-existent. If they take the APHIS, or if they take out the Calamity, yeah, you'll be able to build another one. But if they go for like a push or something, or if they try and hit you with a Thor push, something like that, it will be quite difficult for you. So We're up to our final APHIS now, so 8 APHIS, that's the key. When it comes to our advanced energy converters, you can see that we are on 31 at the moment. At least I think we're on 31. Let me just do a shift click. Yeah, 31. We've got the anti-nuke, and we've also got the hardened metal storage here. And so now we begin to transition into the most important part of this, which is going to be scalable, mobile build power. And that is T1 construction aircraft. Now, you can do this with T2 construction aircraft. It's a little bit more expensive. I would encourage you not to do it. I previously did it, but I did all the maths and I worked it all out, and I said, well, it's just much better to go for the T1s, simply because the aircraft plant is a lot cheaper than the advanced aircraft plant. So, you might have to build... Oh, there's an anti-nuke coming off. The enemy trying to nuke us. Jeez, don't mind me. That's why I'm glad that we built this Prevailer nice and early, just to make sure that we're okay from that sort of thing. So we're going to go up to a total of a total of 8 aircraft plants, and we're going to make sure that we put these aircraft plants on repeat, and make sure that we've just got one construction aircraft. Once our metal rises, so you can see that during this process, our metal is rising. We're also going to add in an advanced construction aircraft plant, but we want to wait until we hit about 5k metal, just so that we can afford to do it. And you can see my ally just going... My ally has got big dreams right now, I'll say that much. He's a man who's throwing down multiple APHIS at the same time. I got to respect that. And at the same time, what we're doing is we're just adding in more of our energy converters at this point. Just want to make sure that if there's any overflow from our allies, that we're able to convert it, because obviously if he's making APHIS, there's a good chance he's going to have some overflowed energy. So I'm going to take advantage of it. So nice and simple stuff. But the main focus here at the moment is just building up that mobile air force, or that mobile construction force here. Now I have seen some theories, or not some theories, but some comments about moving up a whole bunch of construction turrets and doing it. The main thing is, normally when you're looking to put a Calamity down, you want to put it up on this cliff face. By putting it up higher, it's going to increase the range. It also reduces the risk from units that are on the ground. So I like having it up on the cliff, and there's not a lot of things that can really reach that when it happens, and that includes construction turrets. So I'm a big fan of just, we're just going to scale out our mobile build power, and we're just going to make it run. So I start off by just moving out 100 construction aircraft. So you can see right now we've got 101 and 4 advanced construction aircraft. And I start by building an anti-nuke. Now, I know that I've got anti-nuke around here, but there's always the risk that it gets EMP'd. So if this Prevailer gets EMP'd and then a nuke comes down on top of my my Calamity, then that's a risk of doing significant damage to it. The next thing I'm going to follow up with is a Shroud. And something that I learned from, you may have seen the most recent Calamity Rush game that I played, which was obviously different from this, even though that was first-person perspective. This is more of a guide that I'm doing from a replay. I have started making bird shots before I begin my Calamity. A very significant, I would say, improvement here. So now we've got more aircraft going to be joining us, and this is going to help speed it along. At the moment, you can see the Calamity, the ETA on it is question marks because we're building another bird shot. But it was probably sitting around the 4-minute mark, something like that. So now we're going to bring that down to 2 minutes with our construction aircraft here. And now one other thing to note is our ally is going for basilisks along here. This is a big mistake, in my opinion. Just because what it's going to do is it's going to trigger the enemy to start making plasma before I've got my Calamity finished. And so as soon as that basilisk takes a shot, because you can have a look at the range on this bad boy, it's hitting all the way back here. They realize, okay, we got to get some shields down. So it kind of gives them a little bit of heads up, a little bit of notice. But we're at the 25-minute mark right now. We've got a minute left on our Calamity, and we are still just pumping out construction aircraft, making sure that we always just bring them back or bring them down. And the next thing that we're going to do is start eating our nanos. So what we do is we just grab all of the nanos that are in a block like that, and we're just going to tell them to reclaim. So I press Alt when I'm doing this, and I create a nice big circle. And then that's going to start eating them up like this one by one. And what that's doing is that's actually restoring metal into our pool. One of the things to note here is I pulled back my construction aircraft because there was a nuclear launch that was detected. But if I remember correctly, it came a little bit short up. I think it might have hit right here. So it did slow down our Calamity a little bit. But you can see we've got 10k, 11k. Our economy behind this is pretty decent, but mainly the metal that we're getting at the moment is just because we're sucking up all of our own nanos back here, and we're making sure that we just leave a couple just in case, because we may need to utilize these. And we continue bringing them forward, and now at 26 minutes, just shy of 27 minutes, we've got ourselves a Calamity, a game-ending unit, a rapid a rapid-fire long-range plasma cannon, an RFLRPC, which is a whole bunch of words. But yeah, back in the day, these guys used to be called buzzsaws. An incredible unit. Definitely one of my favorites. And you can see right there, 2658 had finished, and straight away, barreling down towards the enemy base. Boom, boom, boom. Just like the Venga boys, I guess we're taking them and we're putting them in the problem. And you can see right now that, well, speaking of problems, the enemy was actually going for a Calamity as well. But one thing they didn't do is they didn't scale their mobile build power. So not only were they building it in their base, but they were building it with nanos. And that obviously is a little bit of a weakness because, well, we managed to beat them out for it. So this is a bit of a weird game in that we had two people rushing a Calamity on both sides, but obviously one was faster. And that resulted in the other Calamity just, well, not having a whole lot of luck. Now, you can see the plasma shields that have come up behind this. This is, the plasma shields on the front were a consequence of the Intimidate, or the Basilisks. But behind this, let's take a look and see what's happening, because we move back to the next part of the build order, which is where we continue adding in our APHIS. So we're adding in more and more APHIS. We've managed to get the construction aircraft out, so that's a really key thing. So once we've got the construction aircraft on the backline, then we can eat the last of the nanos, and that metal is going to power our APHIS is coming up. Because remember that the only thing that's really giving us metal at the moment are our metal extractors, because all of our energy converters are offline, because all of the energy that we're using is going straight into that Calamity. Meanwhile, behind here, I mean, we're just taking players out. Obviously, we've hit one base so far. We kind of hit the second base as well. But now we're looking to take out the third base. And we're doing a little bit of cleaning up, so you can see us targeting. There's a whole bunch of ticks here, and we just clean them up, just make sure that there's no risk of a push coming through that's going to do any damage, right? Like you take the enemy out before they can hit you. And you can see those shields have really built up now. A couple of them are going to ricochet off over towards this east side. But at this point, I mean, it's just a matter of time, and you can see how much damage is being done. Meanwhile, back towards the home base, we've got our second APHIS that's come up after this. On top of that, I mean, we're just having a party. And remember, as every subsequent APHIS comes up, one of the things to remember is that your metal will continue to increase. Because more energy converters will come online. So this is really important to remember, that the reason why we're making more APHIS here is so that we can produce, so that we can get more metal, and so that we can subsequently turn more metal into more APHIS. It's a Ponzi scheme, but with APHISes. But back down towards the other side of the map, we also have a whole bunch of T3 starting to push up. Going to be able to take out that buzzsaw, that Calamity right there. And if it makes it through, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be a big, big boom. And indeed, a big boom is what it's going to be as the APHIS gets hit. Everything goes down, and in the blink of an eye, it all goes down. So that is going to be it. That's your build order guide. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you've got any questions, make sure you let me know down in the comments. If you've got any improvement suggestions, just like LSR did, please let me know, because I'm always looking for ways that we can improve and make these build orders stronger. But I guess we got to start asking the question, is a Calamity gonna... do we need to increase the cost of the Calamity? It seems a little bit early to be having a game-ending unit coming online at before 27 minutes, but I reckon we might even be able to get it faster. But I think we might leave it for now. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. The enemy team is about to resign, and I guess we're just gonna be very happy that our Calamity came up first, and that, I guess that was largely just due to us having a stronger build order. So that's gonna be it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at the awards. Do the awards pop up now? I think that they do, right? Yeah, there we go. So what have we got? We got absolutely nothing. Oh, we destroyed enemy resource production. There we go. And we're a whole digit ahead of the next guy. So actually, no, I take that back. Dolphia's Lobster almost beat us with that big explosion in the corner. So that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.